Thank you. Hey, welcome back from Open Spaces. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's a great conference. Kudos to the organizers. And yeah, we're going to talk about really how technology changes. Not only technology, but also methodology change, right? So let's talk about how DevOps might be or should be reframed. Does this thing work? Yep. Okay, so to get to it, I want to share with you a conspiracy theory. I hope I will be somewhere in this, like grounded in reality, but we'll see how far we go on this scale with this crazy conspiracy theory. So, hear me out. DevOps is an elaborate plot by ops people to make the developers work harder. I have proof. So, about me, my name is Baruch Sadogurski. I'm at JBaruch everywhere on whatever social network is trending this week and whatever it's called. Developer productivity advocate. With Gradle, we do tools for developer productivity engineering, mostly in the JVM space, but you know what? The core idea of developer productivity is not bound to any particular technology track, so check us out. I started as a developer. This is why I think I have this insight of this crazy conspiracy theory. Went all the way to DevOps with JFrog, been with them since they were like 10 people, 11 years, and pivoted with JFrog from being for tool for Java developers into one of the household names in DevOps, and now doing developer productivity engineering with Gradle. Wrote a couple of books, DevOps tools for Java developers, co-wrote, and the Liquid software. You're more than invited to check them out as well. The most important slide of this talk is this one. So I created a page for you. It's at speaking.jbaruch. If you go there right now, you will see like a big, large slides of this talk. The slides are already there. The video, I hope I tapped all the right buttons and it's recording right here. I will upload it later tonight if the hotel Wi-Fi will allow me. I guess it will, so you will have it by tomorrow. All the links for everything that I mentioned, starting with the nice conspiracy theory chat, all the way to the books and where to find me. And everything I'm going to mention today will be there, so feel free to check. In order for making it easier for you, in the bottom of every slide right there, you will find the link with the hashtags for DPE, Developer Productivity Engineering, and DevOps Days Buffalo, .buff, and my Twitter on whatever. Right, so as I mentioned, I started a very long time ago as a developer, so I have this perspective to shock you with the conspiracy theory and its proof. And the first piece of the proof is obviously the Phoenix project. You read the book, right? You're on DevOps Day, so you should say yes, even if you have no idea. But then you know where to find the link to this book if you didn't read it, so read it quick so no one will note that you didn't. Let's assume you did. All the proof that I need for my theory is on the cover of the book. So the cover have all the main characters, and I will go through them real quick. Patty McKee, she's director of IT service support. IT service, she's in ops. Vas Davis, director of distributed technology ops. He's obviously in ops. Sarah, retail ops, the sales, but also ops for some reason. Steve Masters, he's the CEO, he's the boss of the main character. Here is the protagonist. No, that's Dick Landry. Here is the protagonist, Bill Palmer, VP of IT Ops. He's the hero of the book. He kind of struggles and then he invents DevOps and wins, right? Here's the entire book for you. Then we have Eric, who is the board member. Brent, lead sysadmin and ops guy. And then CISO hides somewhere there, looks really suffering because he is. Anyway, anything that you mentioned, someone is missing here in the story?
Me?
Yeah. No developers. Right, I mean, it's a book about DevOps. They should have been there. I mean, they're kind of there. They're in the book, not in a very flattering light. I mean, they are pictured as someone who, like, you know, it's 5 o'clock, let's go home, we didn't with that, and then it's not our problem anymore. So that's kind of implying that we might have something going on there. Exhibit number 2. Let's ask who pushes DevOps. Who kind of explains us the importance of DevOps? We can just Google it and then we'll see where Atlassian on the top. Atlassian is the DevOps company, right? And then, well, Amazon on the top. Amazon is an ops platform. This is what Amazon Web Services is. Atlassian is the DevOps company, obviously. GitLab, CI/CD and bunch of ops stuff. Microsoft, another ops platform with their Azure. Who else is here? TechTarget, they are journalists. Wikipedia, it is. Synopsys, that's a very, very ops company. Logs.io, obviously observability with ops. And then IBM down there, another ops platform. So yeah, so everybody here are 100% ops. No developer company tries to sell DevOps to you. I wonder why. Generally, when we say DevOps, we actually mean ops. Because DevOps solves a problem for ops, which is valid, right? We don't like it when developers throw their work over the silo to us, and we try to solve it with DevOps. Fair enough. Why? Why DevOps came about? So you might say, to answer that, let's look at some answers what actually DevOps means. So here is a great question in Quora. As a Linux system administrator, how do I shift my career to DevOps? And then the solid answer, have a couple of upvotes. Well, all you need to do to become a DevOps engineer is to learn Gits and a bunch of other stuff like Maven, and then you're a DevOps engineer. So basically, you are a Linux administrator, learn Gits, and you're good as a DevOps engineer. Well, and then next thing that will happen is your salary is going to go way up, which is nice, right? And then when money is involved, everybody are getting excited, and obviously next thing you know, hey, there are 20,000 openings for DevOps engineers in the United States alone in the times of economic turmoil and downside and like layoffs and what's not, 20,000 open positions. And another thing that happens is that, hey, let's make money on DevOps engineers. Let's certify DevOps engineers. And then it's basically, you know, Linux, now we will teach you Gits, and we will give you a shiny certificate that you are a DevOps engineer, so you can take one of those 20,000 open positions and start earning tons of money. This is kind of a nice cycle that feeds itself and everybody are happy. But this never was the intention. DevOps started because, well, we'll get to my rage about that in a second. DevOps started because something else. DevOps started because this, right? I mean, in the end of the day, DevOps started because we have those silos in which developers drew their work at the ops people and went home because 5 p.m. they did their job, they're good, and how it is deployed is not their problem. And that's where, and still are in a lot of people. I mean, that's a slide to take picture of, for sure. And yeah, right, so this is why DevOps started. And this is what DevOps solves, or tries to solve, or at least intended to solve. This is where it all came about. So, by now, you are convinced, as I am, that DevOps is an elaborate plot of ops people to make developers work harder, which is true, and it's also okay. There is nothing wrong with it. It's completely fine. We embrace developers to our midst with open arms. The problem is they don't really want to come. Developers are not really excited about DevOps. It's been more than 10 years of trying, but I think they suspect something, maybe. Maybe they kind of know that we try we try to force them to learn YAML, and they are not very excited about it. There is something that needs to change, right? So the question is, how do we go from developers who are not excited about DevOps to developers who are excited about DevOps? And a funny anecdote, there are no GIFs that go from sad to happy. There are a lot of GIFs that go from happy to sad, not the other way around. I had to manually invert the video in order to make that. That probably saying something about our society. Anyway, back to my rage about DevOps engineers. Jeez. One of the things I hate the most about our industry is the term DevOps engineer. Because DevOps engineer is not a thing. It's not a thing because it makes as much sense as the term collaboration engineer. You know why? Because DevOps is a collaborative technique. It's not an engineering thing. It's a collaboration thing. There are no engineers about it. And a lot of people say, like, come on, Baruch, who cares? Everybody knows what it means, so why does it even matter? The problem with it is that terminology generates behavior. What do you do when you have a bunch of DevOps engineers? What do you do with them? You obviously put them in a DevOps team, right? Now, this is what your boss saw when they thought about DevOps team. How cool is it? We'll put all those DevOps engineers together and we'll create a highly productive team. This is what I see when I think about DevOps team. We got back to the same silo, right? And by the way, silo described as dystopian TV show about how in a ruined and toxic world, 1,000 live in a giant silo. DevOps team, basically, right? But yeah, we created a silo right back. Now we have developers who are very relieved to see the DevOps team in place, because you know what it means? Hey, they can throw the work back across the wall at 5 p.m. because we have an entire team that will figure it out. How great is that? And obviously, we are back to square one. And we have great people that want to break down this silo, and then they come with a brilliant idea. How about we create a collaborative technology, a collaborative methodology that will bring the gap between dev and DevOps. Let's call it DevDevOps. I really hate the term DevOps engineer. Now, saying that, there is obviously an engineering aspect of DevOps. It's truly there, right? Someone has to write all those YAML files. There is an engineering aspect. How it is called? We know how it is called. Google, the inventor of terms, invented the term SRE. Many years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe even before DevOps, and maybe it wasn't Google, but Google popularized it through their videos, a lot of great work that Liz Van Jones and Seth and other developer advocates did. SRE is the technical implementation of DevOps, right? I mean, we knew it all along. The problem is that no one wants to be a site reliability engineer. A true anecdote, my tenure in JFrog, in some point of time, we had a DevOps team. And I'm like, you know, they waved a red fabric in front of me, and I got all the rage, and I like run there and like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, DevOps team is exactly against DevOps and everything we believe in, and how do you do that? And they tell me, well, we know in theory that it's called SRE, but no one wants to work as an SRE, because when they tell them site reliability engineer, they go like, oh, is it about like maintaining the jfrog.com website? We don't want to do that. So it's a problematic term. It's a term that doesn't really describe what this is about, or at least people don't really understand well enough. Right? The good news are there is a Lord and Savior called platform engineering. Platform engineering is much better description than for the engineering aspect of DevOps than the SRE ever was. And you can see in the industry, I've been in DevOps Talk Singapore a couple of weeks ago and heard Scott Shaw, Chief Technology Officer in ThoughtWorks, talking about how DevOps engineers are rebranding themselves as platform engineers, and I personally cheered for that. That's great, because everybody wants to be a platform engineer, and this is awesome, and we can also see how the industry rapidly adapts to this new term, and you can see that there are tons of resources that try to explain what's the relationship of platform engineering and DevOps, and a lot of those explanations are good. They are talking about, hey, this is the engineering aspect of DevOps, which is great. But I also asked ChatGPT, obviously, what is platform engineering? And it goes like, oh, platform engineering is about building and managing scalable infrastructure and services that enable developers to efficiently deploy and run applications. Geez, this is an engineering implementation of DevOps. Those are the people who write all the YAML files. That's exactly that. This is perfect. So yeah, you could say that. Which is, well, but yeah, that's that, right? So platform engineer is what SRE was supposed to be and never was. And you know what? Now I am content. With the rise of platform engineering and the definitions of what DevOps is, collaborative culture, what engineering aspect of DevOps looks like, platform engineering, what Kubernetes, we obviously all figured that out. Anyway, we figured DevOps out. I'm not saying that everybody are doing it. I'm not saying that everybody doing it correctly. I'm not even saying that everybody understands it, but we know the right answer. It exists, and you can educate yourself, you can look it up, you can know what needs to be done. Will you do it? Well, it's up to you. There are tons of organizations that probably will never do it, but the answer is there, done. And for me, the answer is in changing the perspective of how we look on DevOps. So, funny diagram for 12 years ago. DevOps is something between DevOps and QA something. That was a completely meaningless diagram. What does it mean? That someone has to know all that, like unicorn, that 10x developer, that Netflix hired all of them and all this crap. This is bullshit. Now, then we evolve this diagram into, okay, this is something between people, process, and tools. Now, this is way smarter. This is way better. But what? What people? What processes? What tools? Well, how about productive people participating in productive processes and using productive tools in order to deliver value to the organization? Nice. This is what DevOps is about. What are the answers? Well, we have them. So productive process is the empowered teams. We don't have a DevOps team, we don't have an ops team, we don't have a dev team. Instead, we have an empowered team when everybody work together and provide value. Productive tools, yeah, we have kinda, sorta, more or less. But what about productive people? How do we tackle the problem of people not being productive, especially now after COVID, working from home? We are working from home since early 2020. That will be like almost 4 years soon. Do anyone know if working from home is more productive or less productive than working from the office? Depends. That's a great answer. It depends on whether you got the tax breaks from the city when you open this office, and now the city comes after your taxes because no one goes to the office. If that's you, then yes, working from office is extremely productive. If you are on the other side of this equation and now you need to be in traffic for 2 hours to get to the office, then maybe you might have a different opinion whether working from office is productive or working from home for that matter. Now, the productivity pain is real. Tiny stuff like builds and tests are slow. Does it impede productivity? Hell yes. 90% of the organizations and workers within an organization think objectively that their builds and tests are slow. Or what else there? Too much time spending for build and test. Inability to easily troubleshoot and determine the root cause of the build, test, and CI failures, including flaky tests. My build is failing, I don't know why. Insufficient observability of analytics on build and test performance and regressions, failure trends and productivity bottlenecks, 60%. My build is getting slower all the time, over time. No one has any idea why. This kind of stuff. And this is only in like a build domain, the domain that I get paid to talk about here, but obviously it's not like there, it's everything else. You can think about your productivity, what impedes it, and if you do something about it. And my message is, let's do something about it. Let's work on this productivity in an engineering mindset. And we are all, majority of us are engineers, we know how to do it. Let's tackle this thing. So what is it? For example, foster faster feedback. Let's improve the quality of our local feedback and know more about what we are writing with less distractions. Speaking about distractions, let's eliminate toil for developers. Let's make their processes more seamless and less painful. Collaboration through effective tooling. Let's use tools and platforms that promote transparency and shared understanding. Prioritize automation and eliminate bottlenecks. This is from DevOps. This is from the Phoenix project, right? Eliminate, focus on bottlenecks, automate the hell out of them, and move on. Embrace rigorous observability for proactive improvement. This is again something that we do for our production systems. Do we do it for our development environments? We don't. Why? Because frankly, no one thinks about it as frequently as they think about Roman Empire or production systems. I don't know if many of you follow the current memes. Right, a dedicated organizational mindset, and I'm going to speak about it in a second. The greatest difference between DevOps and DPE is that, do we have an organizational mindset for this kind of improvement or not? And the last one, and goes back to the talks, to the observability talks, outcomes over output. We can pretend that we measure and just fill the air with meaningless numbers of output, but what we really want to concentrate on are outputs. And you know what? The organizations that take this effort to actually invest in developer productivity engineering see great results. Developer productivity engineering dramatically improved productivity, 84%. DPE fosters developer joy, also 84%. That's probably the same people. But DPE is not my job. We used to hear that about DevOps as well. DevOps is not my job. And we know how to change it. And the way to change it is to reframe the outcomes of DevOps in the terms of the value that we bring to our organization. Now, right, so that looks exactly like DevOps is not my job. It's almost the same, but it's also different, and it's different in focus. The outcome of DevOps is the product, is the value that we bring to the product itself. The outcome of DPE is more productive work. What does it mean in terms of urgency? DevOps is on everybody's mind because the outcome, the product, is on everybody's mind. DPE slips away. We do this effort, we nail this pesky, flaky test today. We have another one in a week, we will live with it another 2 months. because we have different priorities, and the priority will be the product and not necessarily the productivity engineering. So it kind of implies that with DevOps, we don't need DevOps teams. We don't need DevOps SAR in our organization. We don't need anyone who will focus the mindset of organization on DevOps, because DevOps is on everybody's mind. Developer productivity engineering has to be fostered and reinforced constantly by having a specialized team that will put that on everybody's mind. And this is actually happening. The best DP organizations have built focused teams. So a couple of examples, and again, there are a lot of openings in LinkedIn, not as much as for DevOps engineer, unfortunately, for now. It's going to change, but you can see how Snowflake hires, and LinkedIn hires, and Microsoft hires, and Spotify, and Netflix, and Elastic, all those great organizations hire people who will make sure that developer productivity engineering has the organizational focus it requires, because otherwise it will slip away. So just to sum up, it's all an evolution, right? So as DevOps is evolution of the struggle between Dev and Ops, and at least for me, platform engineering is the evolution of SRE, developer productivity engineering is the evolution or the broader scope of DevOps. It's not instead, but it's definitely an addition. So DevOps mainly solves Ops concerns, and it is a collaboration methodology. It needs engineering implementation. Call it SRE, call it platform engineering, someone has to write all those YAML files. But what about people productivity? Developer productivity engineering has the answer, and it's another pillar of DevOps engineering implementation. So with that, you can start learn more today. So take the Gradle Maven Speed Challenges. If you are in the JVM world, that's a great way to get started. DP Agent of Change. We have a platform that you can promote developer productivity engineering in your organization and get prizes from us for doing that, which is pretty cool. Developer Productivity Engineering Handbook. NDP Summit from last week. We have the videos published soon enough online. Just a reminder, speaking.jbarrow have all of that and more. And now, I don't know, probably no time for questions, I guess? Do we? Don't we? Yeah. So questions will be a good time. I'm @jbarrow everywhere. This is Buffalo with the awesome hashtag .buff. And speaking.jbarrow is where you can find everything that I spoke about. Thank you very much. Questions, if any at all. Yep, but so quiet. People are in shock. Okay. Hey, thank you again.
All right. So I actually do have one question for you before you take off. So the one thing that we always had, at the beginning when DevOps suddenly became a thing is we had this hill to climb and explain, like, why do we need DevOps in our organization?
Yeah.
Do we have to do that again for DPE?
Another personal anecdote. When I worked for JFrog 10 years ago, it was terrible try to explain why people need a binary repository manager. Every single person said, oh, we don't need it, we can rebuild from Git, it's fine. It was a torture. It worked out fine, no complaints, but now I have a completely different experience. With developer productivity engineering, everybody just get it. I'm like, your build can be 90% faster, your tests can be more solid, you won't have any of the frustrations that you have when you try and be in the zone and everything kind of kicks you out of the flow. And people go like, okay, take my money. So no, you don't need to work very hard to try to explain it.
Fantastic. Baruch, thank you so much.
Thank you.